So I was saying I'm very empathetic to you and to the experience that we're about to talk here on Kahawa Nagowi. Karibu sana. This is a particular episode. We've been talking about marriage, and just the principles about it for this season. But today there's a specific one that is dear to my heart, and this is about divorce. And yes, we've had somebody else here speaking about divorce, but I think in that particular place, and just to explain to you, my biggest beef about two topics that we go on through. There's one is childbearing and child rearing, and divorce. Always hear it from a female perspective. And so I'm just looking forward to having you, Amani Maranga, on my podcast. I think I have arrived. Award-winning podcaster on my podcast. Karibu sana, my bro.
Sante.
I really.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Good evening, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever it is, where you are.
Bro,
welcome
this
to
is my podcast.
Living Truthfully.
This is my podcast. If you want to catch it, this is my... But yes, I'll be telling you more about where you can catch it.
I was just being silly.
Yeah, this is my podcast, man. You're on my time.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Dude, man. So what have you been up to in the past, 1 year, bro?
First, bro, it's so good to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you're back on this bike.
Yeah.
Kahawa Nagoi.
Yes.
Ingawa, it's false advertising, eh?
Why?
There's no kahawa.
Dude, it's where we're at. So, in the context where we have.
Yeah, we should have been in a coffee farm.
We should have been in a coffee farm. Yeah. Yes.
And first, bro, I want to say that I know this has been a rough season for you.
It has.
A tough season for you.
Mm-hmm.
Pole.
Asante.
Pole.
Asante.
I don't know what else to say, but pole, man.
Asante,
and just
bro.
know, as your brother,
yeah,
I got you.
I appreciate that.
What have I been up to? Well, to answer your question, I moved out of the city.
Yeah, man. Mombasa. How you fucking done Mombasa?
I'm in County 002. I live in Kwale.
Kwale. You're just looking vacation right now.
I'm in vacate 24/7.
And you have a dog now?
I have a dog. His name is Shaka.
Wow.
It's a Labrador retriever. So we
Those are such obedient dogs, man.
Very intelligent.
Yes.
Demure.
How often do you walk on the beach?
Almost every day, bro.
Wow. I'm envious.
It should be.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the right emotion to carry.
It is
in this conversation.
But welcome back. I'm welcome back to the city.
Thank you.
Where we're recording this.
Thank you.
And thank you for making time, man.
You're welcome, bro.
Yeah. And so let me just get off the back on this thing, bro. And let me ask you this this question. Remember that podcast? So you are gay. Why are you gay?
Why are you gay? So I'm not gay. He's not referring to me. I'm straight, like a ruler. I make David look bad. Eh?
You were divorced?
I am.
Why are you divorced?
Because I was married. It is impossible to be divorced without being married. This is a clever answer. So first, it's actually been a while since I spoke about it. And I feel because it's been 10 years.
It's been 10 years, bro?
Since my marriage ended. The divorce happened somewhere within those 10 years, yeah?
You have been divorced longer than you have been married.
Yes, I've been out of my marriage longer than I was married. And to be honest, the reason I'm divorced is because I was married. But, let's say the marriage didn't work. Had you asked me this question 5 years ago, I'd tell you it's because of the mistakes that I made in my marriage. And I'm not taking away from that. I did make some mistakes. I've spoken about them. But I think, now, in hindsight and with the benefit of the 10 years and, being able to think through things, I'd say just because that marriage didn't work, we both, take responsibility for where our marriage ended. I have a great co-parent for my children. She's an amazing mother. She was a great wife, but I don't think to be honest, and this is where I want to start this conversation. I don't know if we were meant to be married to each other.
Wow. It's a bold statement.
Yeah.
So the original sin is there.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't think we were meant to be married to each other. You know, so I know you want to talk about divorce, and I'm happy to talk about it.
I want to give the thing here is that there's a perspective about divorce that is heavily female.
Yes.
And that troubles me because I don't think it's a balanced one. So that's what I wanted to be able to do. I think when people go into marriage, they don't go into marriage knowing that they're going to.
I mean, no one goes into marriage wanting to get divorced.
Yes.
No one goes into marriage hoping.
Even those who have prenups want this thing to work.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, you're right. There's some people who hope for a divorce, then they go with the money, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think for us to be able to talk about the perspective of divorce,
yes,
from a male perspective, and that's okay, we have to talk about marriage, because marriage is the root cause of all divorces.
Of all divorces, right?
Yeah. And you and I just now off camera, we had a conversation. We touched a bit on marriage. And I think the first thing is to say, where have we placed marriages in our lives, in society today? And why then this divorce conversation becomes such a big deal, and why we're only hearing a female perspective, because a lot of the shame is put on men. Okay? Now, everybody carries, both male and female, they carry the weight of the divorce, yes. And depending on the society that you're in, we both feel shame because it's a failed institution, okay? And we're shamed differently. And that is true. And I'm not taking away from the female experience. But we as guys, we don't have often we don't have the permission to talk about our experience, because we are the villains in most of those marriages ending, or the perceived villains.
We're either the villains or the perceived villain.
Exactly.
So
imagine a thief saying, "I'm hurt because I was stealing."
Excuse me.
But that's exactly what it is. It's you, the villain or the perceived villain. You don't have a platform to speak. The person who's a victim is a person who has a platform to speak. And in this case, a lot of them is the women.
So let me go back. We have placed marriage at a certain place.
We have placed marriage above relationships.
Hey, that's interesting. I was going to say, and this is my own, and I was sharing you off camera, is that I think we have put marriage as a god. We have worshipped and idolized marriage. And I think for me, I've even done it. Now, as being a person who has served as a pastor for many years, I served it, I was the one who
told the guys marriage is up here.
Exactly. Until we started going through our own thing, and I got to realize marriage is like a badge of honor. It's an identifier. It's all those things, but that is not who I am.
Bro, so my version of that, and just what I said, we've placed marriage, the institution, above the relationship with the spouse that you're getting married to. The institution is more important than the person.
So unpack that, kidogo.
So,
because a lot of the guys who watch this are considering, or they're not there yet.
Yeah. So when a marriage fails, the church, society,
the church,
what will they do? The first thing they'll try and do,
you tell me,
is protect the institution.
Yes.
Regardless of what that means for you too. Okay? The institution comes first. All right? I'm about to break it down. Okay? The institution comes first.
Yeah.
Why? Because the church perceives marriage as this analogy of Christ and the church.
Yeah.
Okay? And so because of that, it's been glorified. It's been glorified so much that Christ and the church, the two parties, are not important. It's the institution.
Yeah.
The husband and the wife are not the important thing.
Yes.
Is that you remain in the institution.
Yes.
Listen, bro. Christ's love for the church meant he died. Okay? And I've told you this before. For me, the whole philosophy of Christianity as a religion is love.
Yes.
For God so loved the world
yes.
that he gave his the only one, son. Okay? It's love. The church does not care about love.
That's a bold statement.
It's the truth, man.
Okay.
And fortunately for me, that was not my experience, but I've seen it. The church cares for the institution. Society cares, and it's not just the church, but society cares for the institution. So marriage is beholden more than the relationship between the two people. So long as you guys are married, we don't care what you guys are doing within that. Okay? In fact, there was a church that I had a group of guys, men, in my house many years ago. But it was within the time I'd gotten separated. And all of us, our marriages had ended. And these are people who have been in church, who have been church, they're men of God. The marriages ended. And we were having a really candid conversation about it. And I realized we all got married for different reasons, but we were compelled to marriage. Compelled. One of them, which is the reason I was talking about the church, was taken to premarital class by a church before he found a spouse. The church used to organize premarital classes for young people so that they meet there and get married. Do you understand that is manipulation? Okay? Because you're saying that without marriage, you don't fit in. So that you fit in, you guys get married.
Yeah.
And I think the key, so to come back to part of the problem with how we are handling divorces is because of how we have glorified marriage.
How we've glorified, how we've idolized, wherever we've put marriage, that whatever pedestal it is.
Yeah. And we've glorified it above the relationships, the humans that are in that relationship.
So what, in your understanding, now that you look at it, you're even much more critical, much more aware. What has the church taught about divorce?
I mean, God hates divorce.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what the church says, right?
Yeah.
And I think the Bible says it. I'm not sure.
The Bible
but I think the Bible says
it. The book of Malachi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. What about the divorcees?
God so loved the world.
But is that the position of the church?
God loves the divorcee.
God loves the divorcees. Does the church love the divorcees?
So you...
No, what I'm asking you, Govi, is if you as a pastor, okay, when you are a pastor, if you got divorced, how would the church treat you?
Well, I probably would lose my job.
Okay.
I probably would have lost credibility to speak.
Okay.
Yeah. What else would I have done? How else would the church? I don't think I would have been. I don't think they know how to deal with me.
You'd carry a lot of shame?
I would carry shame.
A lot of it coming from that same church?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I probably would be most tempted to move to break fellowship with them because of the shame.
So because God hates divorce, the church hates divorce.
Yeah.
But also the church hates divorcees.
Divorcees.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, I am very lucky. Let me say this, because it's an indictment on the church as an institution.
Yeah.
Okay? But I was very lucky that where I congregated at the time
of when it happened,
of when my marriage ended.
Yeah.
One of my pastors, actually two of my pastors, the one who married me.
Yeah.
I went to him and I told him what was happening a year after my separation. And because I was ashamed, but I'm like, I can't hide it from him any longer. And I went and I said, and he said, bro, I'm in your corner.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help you through this, but tell us how we can help you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really appreciated that. And I have that man as that pastor as my friend to date.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that reason is because I felt no judgment from
Mm-hmm.
him. And then in the particular congregation I was in, the pastor sought me out and told me, I know what you're going through. I have very strong words to say to you, very unhappy words. But what I'm going to ask you to do is come back to church. Just come. And that open arm for me was very different from the church narrative I expected. And so with my indictment of the institution, there are some exceptions that are doing very well. I'm aware that some churches today are carrying divorce care classes, which for me is such a huge step because some people, that means they have recognized that this is a reality of the world that we're in today, and we might as well do something about it and care for the divorcees. But it's not mainstream yet.
So, first had this public platform conversation on divorce with you in my church.
Yeah.
And this was maybe 6 years ago.
Possibly, yeah.
Hey, man, dude, I got some flack. And there's some people who left even my congregation because they felt that we should not speak about divorce in the church. But dude, man, I can say I've been so privileged to know someone like you who's been so vulnerable about your journey. I've had a front row seat in just your processing. And something unique that I've seen about men going through divorce is we men don't know how to deal with you men who are going through divorce. We don't know. And when you isolate yourself, for us who are married, is we don't know why you're isolating. But I think the main thing here is you're experiencing loss, but there's a big shame, especially the cultural expectation on a man about a marriage. As you're saying, you are the villain. All right. So even I like the analogy you used as a thief. A thief who has stolen and he's sad that he has stolen.
Yeah, he's hurting.
He's hurting.
Yeah, he's hurting because he's stolen. So, bro.
So I think and then there's a stigma around divorce, and especially in the church circles. And so for me, that's something that I've really appreciated about it. But I can't speak for. I don't think I am an authority to speak that because I've not experienced that. Ebu, touch on that, Kidogo.
So, do you remember how people treated guys with HIV when HIV was first?
Dude, man, that was a mess, man.
Was when it was now being discovered. Eh?
Can I tell you what one friend of mine did? This is how messed up it was. A lot of Gen Z and some millennials will not understand it, but especially Gen Z. When HIV came out, this was before Mishuki rules. Remember the way the buses you should be packed because Meshona, and you wanted to get from one end to the other. This guy needed to get out of the bus, and he couldn't. So he just says, Nina Ukimwi. And there was just space. That's how bad the stigma was around Ukimwi, around HIV. So is that what you're saying?
You know, as a married guy,
yeah,
and this happened to a few of my friends, who, when it came out that I had messed up, I'd stepped out on my marriage, and now my marriage was ending, I became a cancer. And it's not out because of them, because their wives are like, is that your friend? Is that what you guys do? And so to save their marriages, some of them had to distance themselves from me.
You were put persona non grata for some of the married guys.
Nina Ukimwi.
Wow. You'll be a bad influence.
Yeah. Okay. No one ever cut that out of context, that with my hands up saying, Ukimwi.
Yeah.
No. It's to use the example that you were saying.
Yes.
That now this person is contagious. This divorce can catch us. Do you understand?
So you were put persona non grata.
Yeah.
Some of your married friends were told by their spouses.
Yeah. I mean, some guys came to me and said, boss, what you put us in beef, man. Because our spouse is now wondering, us were your boys, did we know what you were doing? Were we condoning it? Were we part of it? You know? This thing, your disease could catch us. I do have friends though, and let me say, I don't, it's okay. How other people interpret my situation is, I cannot control that.
It's neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. And I think, it's important that people preserve their relationships, their marriages. So if that's what they needed to do for a while, that's okay. How do you deal with someone like me at that time? You guys, again, back to that philosophy of Christianity, man, is love. I was now in a house by myself. And I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and they're just talking about how one day you come back from a family setting where there's activity, where there's noise, children running around, and this has been your life. And the next day, when you're no longer in that marriage, you're in a hollow space.
Talk to me about that isolation.
I don't even know whether to call it isolation. It's just you're alone. You're alone because you're alone. You're no longer married. First, let's start from there. You're alone because you don't have your family anymore, per se. You're alone because now you're a cancer. You're alone because all your life, the narratives that you've had, they shame divorce. So you don't want to put yourself out there.
You're alone because you've lost?
You're alone because you've lost.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're dealing with loss.
You're dealing with loss. It's grief.
Yes.
Just like any other grief, any other sense of loss. And then your circumstances are unique to you, even though you're not the first one to ever go through them. But in that moment, they're unique to you. You don't know who else to talk to about it or to go to, because do we talk about it? We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about divorce. So who do you go to that has talked about it boldly enough so that you know this guy understands what I'm going through?
Women talk about it.
Yeah, to themselves. And am I going to go tell a woman, oh, I'm divorced? Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Says, why are you divorced? Because I stepped out on my marriage. I mean, I'm just creating trouble, man. It was a very lonely space. But, bro, again, I'm very fortunate. One of our mutual friends, G, a guy came to my house almost every day.
Wow.
After work. And he's just come and chill. No agenda. And chill for a couple of hours. Then he goes home. And the next day he's there. And just an intentionality to be present. And even though in many ways I was isolated, a few people created a bubble for me that allowed me within that small bubble to deal.
So you had the support systems.
I
but
had
your
a community.
Average man doesn't have.
It doesn't have.
So that's why this divorce story is heavily female in the narrative.
And because
men don't speak about it.
So remember, we are the villain. So the villain doesn't have permission to speak about it.
Yes.
Okay? Number two, a lot of us guys, a lot of men, and I feel like it's changing, but a lot of men do not have vulnerable, real male friendships before that divorce has happened. Okay?
Let me tell you about Jamaz. So this is when I used to be a pastor right by the University of Nairobi.
Okay.
I keep on saying this how we are. I meet with this guy. It's a young man. It's a student. Sema pasi. Poa. Uko aje? Mi niko sawa. Unaenda wapi? Mi naenda huko down. Na we? Nikaenda huko juu. Sawa. And then we're
That's
done.
the end of the conversation. Down ni wapi, juu ni wapi.
Exactly. We have not exchanged any information, but that's how we are. So, do we have the tools?
I think we have to develop the tools.
We suffer in silence, bro.
But yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We have to develop the tools. But Gowi, you and I have been friends for years. We were friends before I got divorced. We were friends before I got married. Yeah? And with time, we've learned vulnerability. Okay?
Yeah.
We've created space for you to be real with me.
And vice versa.
And so, when my divorce happened, you were my friend. And like you've said, you had a front row seat over my process.
Yeah.
Why? Because I could be vulnerable with you. It's a choice. Now, and I'm saying that as an indictment to us guys, but I'm also saying that because I need guys to realize that we can't play victim forever.
So you're calling us jamas out?
Yeah. We have to make a decision to build real friendships.
But you know what? I'll be honest with you. I've had a couple of friends who have gone through this. And I felt very helpless in being able to do. In fact, it's you who's helped me. Being able to. I've learned a lot about you to now work with others who are going through this similar situation. But I think my frustration is many of the men that I know out there don't have the tools, don't have the vulnerability. And I can admit, I don't have all the tools in itself. But bro, we don't know how to relate as men. We're not tight. We don't know what it means to be vulnerable. Am I?
You're correct to some extent.
Okay.
But also, I think part of the problem is because, as guys, we look for what to do. Okay?
Able unpack that for me?
Instead of who to be. And it's just a conversation we were having earlier.
Give me an example.
So the example is G, my guy.
Yeah.
Who just came. You see, I just need someone to be there with me. I don't need him to figure with me what to do. Today, where I live in Diani, I have a 2-bedroom house. 1 bedroom is a guest bedroom.
That bed that I need to be
that bed that
you've always been telling me to cover.
But bro, I think I've hosted in the last 3 years, maybe 30 plus people.
30?
Yeah.
You are your own hotel.
By the way, and these are people within my circle who come and they need a break.
Wow.
Okay. And one of them, whom I was having a conversation with just maybe 2 nights ago, he came over. He said he was coming for a few days. And this is the example I'm giving you to answer this question. He said he needed to, rest his head for a few days. And I said, come. He came. I think on the 3rd or 4th day is when he told me that his marriage was ending. And he ended up staying for a lot longer. Because he needed first the safety. So this is the answer to your question. Men don't talk because we don't feel safe. Okay? Just give me a minute. I'm going to break this down for you. For men to actually be able to be vulnerable, they need to feel safe. So I'm going to explain it. Safe means there's no judgment. Okay? And so, when a guy says he's scared, in today's society, he's going to be called what?
A wuss.
A wuss.
Yeah.
Americs will call him a simp.
Yeah.
Okay? And so fear is judged and shamed. Yet fear is what gave us fire.
You're right. We needed to scare away the animals.
Okay?
We didn't like to be in the dark. Fear is what gave us fire. I like that.
When a guy is angry, an angry man in today's society is a threat.
So he's not free to be angry.
He's not free to be angry. He can't express anger. There's no safety for him to express anger. If a woman shouts at you, go away. If your spouse shouts at you, what she's doing is expressing herself.
Yeah.
If you shout at your spouse, you're being abusive.
Yes.
The difference is that you're a man.
Yeah.
So there's no safety for you
To express.
to express your anger. Yet anger is what gives us social justice. Anger is the reason we're going to reject the finance bill. It's a useful emotion.
It's a useful emotion, right? Don't
Okay?
start me on that. On that, yes.
Sadness.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Sadness is a useful emotion.
Yes.
That sense of loss is where we start to figure out protection.
Exactly.
Okay? But men do not have the space to express those emotions because there is no safety. It will not be treated without judgment. What we as guys need to do then is to learn to hold space for other guys. You come and express your emotions without need for my advice, without need of me to do something. I just need to be there, walk with you.
So today, when we met, this is something I love about you. We didn't exchange pleasantries.
No.
We just sat down and said, dude, how are you? And I knew that question was not how are you. That was,
it was not superficial.
No. You were asking, how are you? And I looked at it like, this is interest. So it's something in my head saying, this is a safe space to share how I'm feeling. And you saw the emotions I was bringing out to you, but it was a safe place. I'm beginning to, I've never been able to.
And what did I do with those emotions?
You affirmed my emotions. You affirmed my emotions. What else did you do? You recognized my emotions. You welcomed my expression of my emotions, which was not many of my male friends are comfortable doing. They don't know how to deal with a crying goey. Yeah.
But I don't need to do anything, bro.
Exactly.
I just needed to be there.
To be there.
Your worth as a guy, you've been told all your life that your worth as a man is based on what you do. I'm here to tell you it's a lie. Your worth as a man is that you are a man. It's who you are. You're a human being, not a human doing. And as a result, all you need to do to create safety for your fellow men is just be.
Dude, man, you're about to start making me cry right here, bro.
It's a reason we get lost when there's job loss. It's a reason we get lost when we don't know what I'm doing next. Because, I mean, it's true that God gave Adam a job first. It's true. But God first made Adam.
Wow.
You're a human being first. Your worth is that you have God's essence in you. You have an identifier already. You're God's son.
You're a child of God, made in the image of God.
Prince Charles is Prince Charles.
Oh, right now he's king.
Oh, King Charles.
Yes.
Okay, so Prince William is Prince William. He's Prince William because he's King Charles' son. Not because he's doing anything. Prince stuff.
Yeah.
That's who you are. Your kingship, your worth is in you.
So you know the thing that got me is I've been doing this on my own Bible devotions just this week. When Jesus was baptized, God appeared in the form of a voice and a dove, and he says, "This is my son in whom I am well pleased." This is even before Jesus' ministry.
This is my son
in
whom I love.
Yes.
and in whom I'm
I'm
well
well
pleased.
pleased.
The guy has done jack.
He hasn't done anything. He didn't even haven't started his
He's
ministry.
done jack.
Yeah.
That's example.
Yeah.
That's example of God the Father
Yeah.
affirming the Son before he's done any jobo.
Anything, yeah.
Listen, when Jesus was asked by some Pharisees, what's the greatest commandment? What did he say?
Love.
What? No, finish the sentence.
Love the Lord,
Mhm.
your God, with all your heart, with all your mind, with your strength.
And then what did he say?
Love. I said the second commandment is love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Why did he bring up the second commandment?
Was to make it practical.
No, he had answered the question he was being asked.
Yeah.
He was asked what the greatest commandment was.
Yeah. You help me answer that question for yourself then.
Okay? Yeah, I had finished. That
Teach
love
me.
the Lord your God with all your heart,
Yes.
mind, strength, soul, whichever version you're reading.
Mhm.
And then he found it fit
To add. Yes.
and say, love your neighbor.
As you
The second greatest commandment is love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yeah.
Every time I've had that commandment or that scripture exposed, it's about your neighbor. But the guy had put a prerequisite.
Yeah.
And what was the prerequisite?
Love yourself.
God expects you to love yourself.
Wow.
Bro, I went into a rabbit hole looking for, okay, so what are you saying? And I went looking for an example of how to love myself. To scripture that will tell me, because it's come from there. I didn't find it.
Yeah.
So the only place I came back to was the love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13. What does it start with? Love is? Verse 4.
Love is, dude, man.
Love is patient.
Love is patient, right? Love is patient.
Bro, for
love
your pastor, unaniangusha jo. Love is patient.
No judgment here.
No,
love is patient.
Love is kind.
Yes.
Love is not envious. Okay, so it goes on and on. So I decided, if this is a measure I'm supposed to have as the measure of loving my neighbor, as I love myself, so let me use this measure to love myself. So let's start. Love is patient. Amani, are you patient with yourself? Love is kind. Goyi, are you kind to yourself? Hold on. Love does not keep a record of wrong.
Dude, let me just go to that verse here. You know me, I came to talk about divorce. You're thrown.
No, but because, bro, what
thrown me off here?
You've asked me about vulnerability.
Yes.
It's because we don't know how to hold space for ourselves and for other men.
Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes. Love perseveres. Other versions say love
never
fails.
That's a standard you're supposed to use for loving yourself.
Wow. This thing, what you're just trying to tell me, is just actually not for. This is for all of us men.
Yeah.
We don't have the permission to do this for us, is it?
Where?
So who gives who gives the permission?
Who took it?
I'm waiting for you to answer that for me.
Bro, this thing is a whole perception we have bought. We have bought a false Western, broken perception of marriage, of masculinity, of self. And in that whole process, we have lost literally what this conversation is today. The ability to be honest, vulnerable, and true to ourselves and to our brothers. Okay? Let me explain. Let me unpack it a bit. You see, the narrative you grew up listening to, no one wakes up with masculinity. No one is born with masculinity. You're born as a boy. You learn your masculinity, how it's expressed in your society.
In my
right?
context.
In your context.
That's how I'm socialized.
All right? But today, we are all going through a factory socialization of masculinity based on some Western ideas that is mishmashed with whatever is coming from wherever. Add Christianity, add European, add American, add softness from where, add hardness from where. And so you as a guy are not supposed to cry. You as a guy are not, you're supposed to sacrifice yourself till you die. Okay? You as a guy cannot express these emotions because your anger is threatening, your sadness and fear is weak. You're not the one who gave yourselves those definitions of those emotions. You learned them. Okay? But also you've accepted them.
I've internalized them.
You've internalized them.
And they've become me.
So rebel.
So you're telling me to rebel?
Yeah.
A man is telling me to just go against the grain.
You think that Jesus you follow was not a rebel?
He was like the rebel par excellence.
So what
challenged every social norm.
So what makes you think that being a conformist is being a Christian?
Being a Christian is being a conformist. That's what we have been.
But that's not the Jesus you follow.
Amani, I'd like to have you back. I don't have time. But this is what I'm going to ask you. Where can men get help?
I'd say a couple of places. First things first is men need to form real male friendships.
How, bro? How? I don't know. We don't have the tools.
Bro, can I tell you something Kanji did? Okay. I've said the name.
Yeah.
One day, many years ago, Kanji had coffee with me and told me, bro, I want you to be my friend. I want you to walk life with me.
Yeah. So he invited
you.
He
made an invitation. It's as simple as that. You have every tool you need to make real male friendships.
So I did that to my best man. I sat down with him and I told Pinto, I'm not feeling you. And he's going to watch this. I'm not feeling you. And we were having tea. And I told him, I need to feel you. I need you to be my friend. And vice versa. That invitation.
Invite guys. You already have people in your circle that you trust, that you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you probably need to be changing your circle. Okay? But I'd say, the first things first, the tool that you have around you is the male friendships around you that you can start to forge real, honest, vulnerable friendships.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're in a crisis today, you're going through divorce, especially, and you feel lost and you don't know what to do, reach out to me at Amani Maranga on Twitter, on Instagram.
Just DM you.
Just DM me.
Okay.
I'll reach out back. But I'd say if you have a local space where you can get some therapy, where you can start to unpack the emotions that you're going through, do that, because professional help does help. It might not be the solution that ends all, but part of what you need to do is be able to have conversations in a safe space. And a therapist is someone who's already professional at creating that
safe space.
Safety. There's some things they might not be able to do that your brothers will do for you, but seek a professional if you're in crisis. Yeah.
Bro.
You noticed I didn't send them to church.
I understood.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize, man.
But there's divorce care. It's a good program. Nairobi Chapel is running it. I know Parklands Baptist is running it. I think the acknowledgement of that, I'm sure there are a few other churches. I don't know who the others are. But the acknowledgement that these spaces are having about divorce is good. And they'll find a community of people that are also going through the same, space. Different circumstances, but same space. So if you can, I don't know what their handles are online, but find them. It'll be useful for you.
I guess you've given me an idea. Put that link onto this podcast. And so you could be able to get them finally Ebu, give me a parting shot. I just need a parting shot for you. You know, I'm having an award-winning podcaster, living truthfully. If you want to get him, that's you get it on all platforms, Spotify and all that. You are on podcast number what? 100 and what?
No. I've taken a break for a while.
Yeah.
So I took a break at episode 86.
Yo, man, there were that many.
There were that many. And there's a lot of good resource there.
Yes.
So for someone who's going through
living truthfully,
it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, most of your podcast platforms.
Give me your parting shot.
It's very easy to go through life suppressing emotions and buying the lie that not being vulnerable is being manly. But here it is. It's more courageous to actually confront your vulnerability. So my call to men, and this is such a perfect week for this podcast because it's Father's Day tomorrow. This has been Men's Mental Health Week. My call to men is, how courageous are you? Are you ready to really, truly face your vulnerable self?
Say no more. You got it here on Kahanagowi. Subscribe. Dude, thanks, man.
Welcome, brother. Thank you for having me.
All right. Enjoy County 002.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, bro. I'm coming.
Come.
I'm coming.
Come.
That bed.
It's waiting for you.
All right, then.
It was even upgraded, so come.
God bless you guys.
All right. Cheers.